If you were blindfolded, put on a plane, and dropped here without any explanation, you would be entirely justified in believing that you had left planet Earth. Nothing here looks familiar. The shapes of the trees defy gravity. The colors of the earth seem too saturated to be natural. The mountains rise from the sea like the jagged teeth of some sleeping prehistoric monster. You look to your right and see a tree that looks like a giant flying saucer balanced on a thick, twisted trunk. If you cut the bark of this tree, it doesn't bleed sap. It bleeds a thick, crimson liquid that looks exactly like human blood. You look to your left and see a tree with a massive, swollen base that resembles an elephant's leg, sprouting bright pink flowers directly out of the solid rock. This is not a science fiction movie set. This is not a digital rendering of a distant exoplanet. This is Socotra, an island located in the Arabian Sea, roughly 240 miles off the coast of Yemen. It is a place so radically isolated from the rest of the world that evolution was left completely alone to conduct its own bizarre, wonderful experiments. To understand why Socotra looks the way it does, you have to look at a map, and then you have to rewind time. Millions of years ago, Socotra was part of the supercontinent of Gondwana. But when the landmasses split, this tiny fragment broke off and drifted into the Arabian Sea. It has been completely isolated from any major landmass for at least 6 million years. Because of this extreme isolation, life on Socotra evolved in a vacuum. It was forced to adapt to brutal heat, relentless monsoon winds, and scarce water. As a result, 37% of the plant species, 90% of the reptile species, and 95% of the land snail species on this island do not exist anywhere else in the universe. If they die out here, they are gone forever, often called the Galápagos of the Indian Ocean. Socotra is a living museum, but unlike the Galápagos, which sees hundreds of thousands of tourists a year and is strictly managed by the Ecuadorian government, Socotra remains wildly untamed. It is a harsh, unforgiving paradise, home to around 60,000 people who have learned to survive in an environment that actively resists human habitation. Getting to Socotra is the first filter that keeps the modern world at bay. There are no daily commercial flights from major hubs. For years, the island was completely cut off due to the devastating civil war on the Yemeni mainland. Even today, flights are sporadic, expensive, and require a complicated web of permits. When you finally land on the dusty, sun-baked runway, the heat hits you like a physical wall. The capital, if you can call it that, is Hadibu. It is a chaotic, sprawling town of cinder block buildings, dirt roads, and stray goats wandering through the streets eating cardboard. It is loud, dusty, and visually jarring compared to the natural beauty that surrounds it. There are no luxury resorts here. No five-star restaurants. The infrastructure is basic, and electricity is often a luxury that comes and goes with the wind. But you don't come to Socotra for the cities. You come for what lies beyond the city limits. You come to leave the 21st century behind. As you drive out of Hadibu in a battered 4x4, the concrete quickly fades away, replaced by sweeping dunes, towering limestone cliffs, and a profound, overwhelming silence. You are entering the realm of the Bedouin. The interior of Socotra is dominated by the Hajir Mountains, a jagged spine of granite peaks that tear into the sky, often shrouded in thick, swirling mist. This is the heartland of the island. The coastal areas are punishingly hot, but up here, the air is cool and the landscape is lush. And this is where you find the true indigenous people of Socotra. The mountain Bedouins have lived here for millennia. They are a semi-nomadic people, moving their herds of goats and camels across the rugged terrain in search of water and grazing land. They do not speak Arabic as their first language. They speak Socotri, an ancient, unwritten Semitic language that predates Arabic by centuries. It is a language composed of sounds that mimic the wind, the animals, and the harsh environment around them. Many of these families still live in deep limestone caves during the monsoon season, exactly as their ancestors did. They rely on the land for everything. The goats provide milk and meat. The rare rains provide drinking water. And the bizarre plants of the island provide their medicine. In a world obsessed with technology and progress, the Bedouins of the Hajir Mountains measure time by the seasons and wealth by the health of their herds. If Socotra has a symbol, it is without a doubt the dragon's blood tree, scientifically known as Draconina chinnabari. This tree is an evolutionary masterpiece. Its thick, intertwined branches form a dense, umbrella-like canopy, designed to provide maximum shade for its own roots, reducing evaporation in the scorching desert sun. It is a tree that literally creates its own microclimate to survive. But its name comes from the dark red resin that oozes from its bark when cut. For thousands of years, this dragon's blood was one of the most valuable commodities in the ancient world. It was prized by the Roman Empire, the ancient Greeks, and the pharaohs of Egypt. It was used as a powerful medicine, a vibrant dye, and a magical incense used in religious rituals and alchemy. Today, the local Bedouins still harvest the resin, though in much smaller quantities. They use it as a cure-all, treating everything from stomach aches to deep flesh wounds, and even using it as a cosmetic for women after childbirth. Watching a local elder carefully extract this bright crimson sap from a tree that might be 500 years old is like watching a ritual from a forgotten era of human history. The dragon's blood tree is the star, but it is far from the only botanical freak on the island. Clinging to the sheer rock faces of the canyons is the desert rose, or Adenium obesum. It looks like a massive bloated turnip with beautiful pink flowers blooming from its stubby branches. Its swollen trunk is an evolutionary adaptation, storing precious water for the long, brutal, dry seasons. And then there are the frankincense trees. Socotra is home to 9 different species of frankincense, more than anywhere else on Earth. These small, scraggly trees look dead for half the year, their papery bark peeling away in the wind. But they produce a resin that, like dragon's blood, was once worth its weight in gold. The scent of burning frankincense is the scent of Socotra. You smell it in the caves of the Bedouins, in the small shops of Hadibu, and lingering in the clothes of the people you meet. It is a deep, earthy, intoxicating aroma that connects the modern inhabitants directly to the ancient spice roots that once made this isolated island a crucial stop for sailors crossing the treacherous Indian Ocean. But Socotra is not just mountains and strange trees. If you descend from the highlands and head to the coast, the landscape changes violently. The rocky interior gives way to some of the most spectacular and untouched coastlines on the planet. Here, massive dunes of blindingly white sand, pushed up by the fierce monsoon winds, roll directly into the crystal clear, turquoise waters of the Arabian Sea. Along the coast, the culture shifts. The people here are fishermen, not goat herders. They navigate the treacherous waters in small wooden dhows, bringing in massive catches of tuna, kingfish, and shark. The ocean around Socotra is incredibly rich, fed by cold, nutrient-dense upwellings. For the coastal communities, the sea is their lifeline, providing both their primary source of food and their main economic connection to the outside world. Yet, even here, isolation defines everything. The fishermen use techniques that haven't changed in generations. There are no massive commercial trawlers here. The relationship between the people and the sea is direct, intimate, and deeply respectful. They take what they need, knowing that if they exhaust the local waters, there is no supermarket to fall back on. It is a fragile equilibrium, maintained by centuries of accumulated wisdom. For 4 months out of the year, Socotra is essentially closed. From June to September, the island is battered by the Kharif, the fierce southwest monsoon winds. These are not just strong breezes. These are gale-force winds that roar across the Indian Ocean, kicking up massive waves that make it impossible for ships to dock and grounding all flights. During the Kharif, the island is completely cut off from the rest of the world. The winds are so intense that the coastal residents are forced to pack up their belongings and migrate inland to the mountains or seek shelter in the deep wadis, valleys. The environment becomes incredibly hostile. Dust storms reduce visibility to zero, and the sheer force of the wind shapes the very architecture of the trees, forcing them to grow low and twisted against the ground. For the people of Socotra, this is a time of endurance. Food supplies must be stockpiled in advance. Medical emergencies during this time can be fatal, as there is simply no way to evacuate a patient off the island. Yet, the locals do not view the monsoon with hatred. They understand that these violent winds bring the moisture necessary to sustain the island's unique flora for the rest of the year. It is a harsh tax paid for their survival. Perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of Socotra is not its biology, but its human history. The indigenous Socotri culture is entirely oral. Until very recently, there was no written alphabet for the Socotri language. This means that thousands of years of history, poetry, and botanical knowledge have been passed down solely through the spoken word, from generation to generation. When an elder in a Bedouin community dies, it is not just a personal tragedy. It is the equivalent of a library burning down. These elders possess an encyclopedic knowledge of the island's plants, knowing exactly which root cures a fever, which leaf treats a snake bite, and which wood burns longest in a cave fire. This knowledge is not recorded in any database. It exists only in their minds. Today, there is a race against time to document this oral heritage. As modern education systems introduce Arabic and English to the younger generations, the Socotri language is slowly eroding. The youth are learning to read and write, which is vital for their future. But in doing so, the ancient songs and the nuanced vocabulary of their ancestors are beginning to fade. It is the classic dilemma of modernization. What is lost when progress arrives? The unique ecosystem of Socotra has survived for millions of years because of its isolation. But today, it is facing unprecedented threats, and not all of them come from the outside world. One of the most immediate dangers to the island's alien flora is, ironically, the primary source of wealth for the local people: goats. Goats are not native to Socotra. They were brought here by early settlers. Over the centuries, their populations have exploded. In times of drought, which are becoming more frequent due to climate change, the goats strip the land bare. They eat the saplings of the dragon's blood trees before they can mature. In many areas, you will see magnificent, ancient forests of these trees. But if you look at the ground, there are no young saplings. This creates a terrifying demographic crisis for the flora. When the old trees eventually die of old age or are toppled by increasingly severe cyclones, there is no new generation to replace them. The forest simply vanishes. The Bedouins are aware of the problem, but asking a pastoralist to reduce their herd is like asking a businessman to empty his bank account. It is a complex environmental issue deeply entangled with economic survival. Historically, Socotra rarely experienced severe cyclones. The island's location meant it was usually spared the worst of the Indian Ocean's tropical storms. But the climate is changing. In 2015, two unprecedented, devastating cyclones, Chapala and Megs, slammed into Socotra within the space of a single week. The destruction was catastrophic. Entire coastal villages were washed away. Fishing fleets were destroyed. But the most heartbreaking damage was inland. Thousands of ancient dragon's blood trees, some hundreds of years old, were snapped like twigs or entirely uprooted. Because these trees grow incredibly slowly, taking decades to reach just a few feet in height, the scars left by these storms will not heal in our lifetimes. The cyclones were a wake-up call. They proved that no matter how isolated a place is, it cannot hide from global climate change. The people of Socotra, whose carbon footprint is practically non-existent, are bearing the brunt of a warming ocean caused by the industrialized world thousands of miles away. It is a harsh and deeply unfair reality. As if environmental threats weren't enough, Socotra is also caught in the crosshairs of a complex geopolitical struggle. Yemen, the mainland nation to which Socotra belongs, has been torn apart by a brutal civil war. While the fighting has largely spared the island itself, the political vacuum has left Socotra vulnerable. Due to its highly strategic location at the mouth of the Gulf of Aden, a major global shipping lane, foreign powers have taken a keen interest in the island. In recent years, there has been a massive influx of foreign money and influence, particularly from the United Arab Emirates. New infrastructure, military bases, and modern communication networks are being built at a rapid pace. For the locals, this is a double-edged sword. On one hand, foreign investment has brought desperately needed hospitals, schools, and reliable electricity. Luxuries they were denied by the mainland government for decades. On the other hand, it threatens the political sovereignty and the pristine nature of the island. Large-scale construction risks damaging the fragile ecosystems, and many locals fear that their island is being quietly annexed while the world looks the other way. Before the war, Socotra was a niche, destination for adventurous ecotourists and botanists. Today, despite the geopolitical tensions and difficult logistics, a small but growing number of tourists are returning. For a few $1,000s, specialized travel agencies will arrange the complex visas, the erratic flights, and the necessary local guides to bring foreigners into this alien world. Tourism offers a crucial alternative income for the locals, reducing their reliance on overgrazing their herds. When locals see that foreigners value the living dragon's blood trees enough to cross the globe and pay to see them, the trees suddenly have economic value alive rather than just as firewood. It incentivizes conservation. However, the infrastructure on Socotra is entirely unequipped to handle mass tourism. There are no proper waste management facilities. If large hotels are built to accommodate more visitors, the strain on the island's already scarce freshwater resources could be devastating. The debate is urgent. How do you open the island to the world without destroying the very isolation that makes it so special? To truly understand the scale of time on Socotra, you must go underground. The island is riddled with massive limestone cave systems, many of which remain largely unexplored. The most famous of these is Hook Cave. To reach it, you must hike for 2 hours up a steep, scorching mountain path until the earth suddenly opens up into a gaping black void. Inside, the cave is staggering in its proportions. It stretches for nearly 2 miles into the mountain, filled with towering stalagmites and massive stalactites that have taken hundreds of thousands of years to form in the complete darkness. The air is cool and damp, a stark contrast to the blinding heat just a few hundred yards away outside the entrance. But Hawk Cave holds more than just geological wonders. Deep inside, archaeologists have discovered ancient wooden tablets, pottery, and inscriptions left by sailors from India, Ethiopia, and South Arabia, dating back to the 1st century AD. These sailors used the cave as a sanctuary, leaving offerings to their gods. Standing in that pitch-black silence, you realize that while Socotra seems isolated to us today, it was once a crucial, mystical waypoint for the ancient world. Despite the encroaching modern world, daily life for the Bedouins in the rural wadis remains remarkably simple. A typical day starts before sunrise. The women prepare a breakfast of flatbread, sweet black tea, and fresh goat's milk. There is a quiet rhythm to the morning, dictated not by clocks, but by the light and the temperature. As the sun climbs, the men and boys take the herds out to graze. It is a harsh, demanding job. They must navigate steep, rocky terrain and know exactly where to find small pools of water hidden deep in the canyons. The survival of the herd is the survival of the family. The connection between the shepherd and his animals is intimate. A good shepherd knows the face and temperament of every single goat in a herd of 50. In the late afternoon, as the heat finally breaks, the community gathers. The men sit on woven rugs outside their stone houses, chewing khat, a mild stimulant leaf popular in Yemen, and discussing local politics, the weather, and the health of their herds. The pace of life is slow. There is no rush, no anxiety about emails or deadlines. It is a life stripped down to its absolute essentials, beautiful in its simplicity, but unforgiving in its reality. Socotra's flora is not just weird to look at. Much of it is highly medicinal. One of the most historically significant plants on the island is the Socotrine aloe, Aloe perryi. While aloe vera is common in skincare products today, the aloe of Socotra was once considered the finest in the world. Legend has it that Alexander the Great conquered Socotra in 333 BC, specifically to secure the island's supply of aloe. His soldiers needed it to heal their battle wounds, as the sap has powerful antibacterial and skin-regenerating properties. For centuries, the thick, bitter sap was dried into dark blocks and shipped across the globe, highly prized by Greek, Roman, and Arab physicians. Even today, if a Bedouin child gets a deep cut, the first remedy is often the sap of a nearby aloe plant. They also use it to treat eye infections and stomach ailments. The knowledge of how to prepare and dose these wild medicines is a vital part of the oral tradition. But unlike the dragon's blood, the aloe is largely ignored by the modern pharmaceutical industry, leaving this ancient remedy as a quiet, localized secret. Look up into the sky over Socotra, and you will almost certainly see them: Egyptian vultures. On the mainland, these birds are highly endangered and a rare sight. On Socotra, they are everywhere. The locals call them Al-Socotri, and they are the unofficial cleanup crew of the island. They are remarkably bold birds, often walking right up to humans in the towns and villages. When a goat is slaughtered for a meal, or a fish is gutted on the beach, the vultures are there within minutes to clean up the scraps. They serve a critical ecological function, preventing the spread of disease in an environment where waste management is practically non-existent. The relationship between the locals and the vultures is one of mutual respect. The Bedouins do not harm them, viewing them as a natural, necessary part of the ecosystem. Watching a massive bird of prey casually stroll through a village market, totally unafraid of the humans bustling around it, is yet another reminder that on Socotra, the boundary between the wild and the civilized is incredibly blurred. If the dragon's blood tree is the king of Socotra, the cucumber tree, Dendrosicyos socotranus, is its court jester. It is the only tree species in the entire cucumber family. It looks absolutely absurd, a massive, pale, swollen trunk that tapers at the top, sprouting a few sparse, scraggly branches covered in tiny, prickly leaves. Like many plants on the island, its bizarre shape is a masterclass in survival. The enormous trunk is essentially a water tank, allowing the tree to survive months or even years without a drop of rain. But this incredible adaptation is also its weakness. The spongy, water-filled wood makes it highly vulnerable to being knocked over by the increasingly severe cyclones. Furthermore, in times of extreme drought, when there is nothing else for the animals to eat, the Bedouins will sometimes cut down a cucumber tree to feed its water-rich core to their dying goats. It is a desperate measure for desperate times, but it highlights the excruciating choices forced upon the locals. Save a rare, endemic tree, or save the livestock that keeps your family alive. Hidden between the towering limestone plateaus are deep, narrow canyons known as wadis. The most spectacular of these is Wadi Dirhur. After driving across miles of bone-dry, sun-scorched rock, the earth suddenly drops away into a massive gorge. At the bottom lies a startling sight, a lush, emerald-green oasis. Natural freshwater pools, fed by underground springs, sit perfectly still in the deep shade of the canyon walls. The water is crystal clear and shockingly cold, For the locals, these wadis are a lifeline, a permanent source of drinking water for their families and their herds during the brutal dry seasons. Surrounding the pools are dense groves of date palms. The contrast between the arid, red plateau above and the vibrant, shaded green of the wadi below is jarring. It is in these wadis that you realize how fragile life here really is. Everything, the plants, the animals, and the humans, is clustered around these tiny, precious pockets of water. If the springs ever dry up, the island will die. Before GPS and modern weather forecasting, the sailors of Socotra were legendary navigators. Positioned at the crossroads of the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean, the island was a major hub for ancient maritime trade. The local fishermen had to understand the complex ocean currents, the treacherous reefs, and the violent seasonal winds. Without the aid of any technology, they navigated by the stars, reading the night sky with the same fluency with which we read a map. They could predict a coming storm by the behavior of the birds or the color of the sunset. This deep, empirical knowledge of the ocean was passed down from father to son for generations, allowing them to sail their small wooden dhows as far as India and East Africa. But today, that ancient knowledge is rapidly fading. A cheap smartphone with a GPS app is more reliable and easier to learn than decades of studying the stars. The older generation laments that the young men no longer know how to read the ocean, relying entirely on batteries and satellites. When the technology fails, which it often does in such a remote place, the modern sailor is left completely blind. The society of Socotra is deeply conservative and patriarchal, heavily influenced by traditional Islamic values from the mainland. In public, the women are rarely seen, usually covered entirely in black abayas. They do not generally interact with male strangers or foreigners, keeping to the privacy of their homes and small communities. But behind closed doors, the reality is much more complex. The women are the quiet engines that keep the island running. While the men are out fishing or tending to the herds, the women manage the households, raise the children, weave intricate traditional rugs, and maintain the crucial social networks of the village. They are the primary keepers of the oral history, passing the Socotri language and folk tales down to their children. For the young girls of Socotra, the future is uncertain. Education is becoming more accessible, but opportunities for women outside the home remain extremely limited. As the island slowly opens up to the outside world, these women are caught between the strict traditions of their ancestors and glimpses of a vastly different life they see on the internet. Their silent struggle will shape the cultural future of the island. When you visit an island where a third of the plants are endemic, the last thing you expect to see is an Indian house crow. Yet, these aggressive, highly intelligent birds have established a foothold on Socotra. They likely arrived as stowaways on cargo ships from the mainland or the Gulf states. In a closed ecosystem, invasive species are a nightmare. The crows have no natural predators on the island. They are aggressive scavengers that steal the eggs of the native, endemic bird species, many of which are already endangered. They also compete directly with the Egyptian vultures for food, disrupting a balance that has existed for millennia. The local government and environmental groups have launched eradication campaigns to wipe out the crows before they can permanently alter the island's ecology. it is a difficult, ongoing battle. It serves as a stark reminder that physical isolation is no longer enough to protect a place. In our globalized world, a single cargo ship can accidentally introduce a threat that destroys millions of years of evolutionary history. If you walk far enough into the interior of Socotra, away from the dirt roads and the small settlements, you will experience something that has almost entirely vanished from the modern world. Absolute silence. Not the quiet of a library, but a deep, profound absence of human noise. There are no airplanes flying overhead. There is no distant hum of highway traffic. There are no power lines buzzing. The only sounds are the wind rushing through the jagged limestone peaks, the crunch of dry earth beneath your boots, and occasionally the distant, echoing bleat of a mountain goat. It is a silence so heavy that it almost rings in your ears. In this silence, your sense of scale changes. You realize how incredibly small you are and how fleeting your existence is compared to the ancient rock formations and the slow-growing trees around you. It is a humbling, deeply spiritual experience. It forces you to confront yourself without the constant distractions of the digital age. This silence is perhaps Socotra's most undervalued resource. Who does Socotra belong to? Geographically, it is closer to the Horn of Africa. Somalia is just 150 miles away. Politically, it belongs to Yemen, a nation currently fractured by war. Culturally, it has deep historical ties to the Indian subcontinent and the ancient spice routes. Environmentally, it belongs to the world. In 2008, UNESCO designated the entire island a World Heritage Site, recognizing its outstanding universal value. The international community demands that its unique biodiversity be protected at all costs. But for the people who actually live here, the Bedouins in the mountains and the fishermen on the coast, Socotra belongs only to itself. They are Socotri first and Yemeni second. They have survived centuries of empires, rising and falling around them by simply enduring, holding onto their land and their unwritten language. They do not want to be a museum exhibit for wealthy tourists, nor do they want to be a pawn in a geopolitical chess game. They just want to survive on their own terms, as they always have. In recent years, a quiet revolution has arrived on the island, changing it faster than any cyclone or foreign army ever could. The internet. With the influx of foreign investment, cellular towers have been erected in the main towns. For the first time in history, the youth of Socotra are instantly connected to the outside world. A young Bedouin boy who spends his day herding goats in the mountains can now come down to the town in the evening, connect to Wi-Fi, and watch TikTok videos from New York or Dubai. This unprecedented access to information is fundamentally altering their worldview. They are seeing a life of ease, wealth, and modernity that stands in stark contrast to their harsh, traditional existence. This digital connection brings immense benefits. Better communication, access to medical advice, and educational resources. But it also breeds a new kind of discontent. Why should a young man spend his life sleeping in a cave and milking goats when the world outside looks so glamorous? The internet is doing what the harsh environment never could. It is slowly pulling the youth away from the old ways. There is a paved road that now cuts across the island. connecting the north coast to the south. For the locals, this road is a miracle. It means a sick child can be driven to the hospital in an hour instead of being carried for 2 days over the mountains. It means food and supplies can be distributed efficiently during the monsoon season. But for the environmentalists, every new road is a scar on a pristine ecosystem. Roads fragment habitats. They make it easier for invasive species to spread. They allow more people and more livestock to reach previously untouched areas, accelerating the degradation of the delicate flora. This is the ultimate dilemma of Socotra. You cannot deny the local people the right to basic health care, education, and modern convenience. You cannot demand that they live in poverty just to preserve a botanical museum for Western scientists. Development must happen. The challenge, perhaps the greatest challenge the island has ever faced, is figuring out how to build the future without destroying the ancient past. Hope, however, is not lost. A new generation of environmental guardians is rising from within the local community. These are young Socotri, men and women who have seen the damage caused by overgrazing and storms, and they have decided to fight back. They are working with international botanists to create protected nurseries for the dragon's blood trees. In these small, fenced-off areas, safe from the hungry mouths of the goats, thousands of tiny saplings are being carefully cultivated. A dragon's blood tree grows incredibly slowly. It takes about 10 years to reach a height of just 1 meter. The people planting these seeds know they will never see them grow into the massive umbrella canopies that define the island. They are planting them for their grandchildren. It is an act of profound optimism. In a world focused on immediate gratification and quarterly profits, these local conservationists are operating on an evolutionary timeline. They are proving that the people of Socotra are not just victims of circumstance, but active defenders of their own incredible heritage. When you stand on the edge of the Dixam Plateau, looking down into the massive gorge that cuts through the center of the island, you feel a deep sense of vertigo. It is not just the physical height, it is the realization of how fragile this all is. Socotra is a miracle of evolutionary isolation. It is a perfectly balanced, closed-loop system that took millions of years to create. But that balance is easily broken. A severe shift in the climate, the introduction of a single invasive disease, or the reckless expansion of human infrastructure could unravel this entire ecosystem in a matter of decades. We are living in an age of mass extinction, where the wild places of the earth are rapidly shrinking. Socotra stands as one of the last true outposts of untamed nature. To lose it would not just be a loss for Yemen or for science. It would be a tragic, irreplaceable loss for the story of life on this planet. Leaving Socotra is as jarring as arriving. When you board the small plane and watch the jagged peaks and the strange umbrella-shaped trees fade into the blue expanse of the Indian Ocean, you are left with a heavy, lingering question. Is it better for a place like this to remain completely isolated, frozen in time, and fiercely protected from the outside world? Or does the world have a right to see it, to learn from it? And do the local people have a right to profit from it? There are no easy answers. The price of paradise is eternal vigilance, and right now, the people of Socotra are paying that price every single day. Socotra is a mirror. When we look at this island, we see our own relationship with nature reflected back at us. We see our desire to conquer the wild and our desperate need to preserve it. It reminds us that we are not the masters of the earth, but merely temporary guests on a planet much older, much stranger, and much more beautiful than we can truly comprehend. Twilight falls over the Hajir Mountains. The harsh glare of the sun is replaced by a soft violet light. An old Bedouin man sits outside his stone house, entirely still. He is not looking at a phone. He is not worrying about the geopolitical tensions across the sea. He is simply watching the stars begin to pierce through the darkening sky. Behind him, the silhouette of an ancient dragon's blood tree stands resolute against the wind, just as it has for centuries. It has survived droughts, monsoons, and the rise and fall of empires. It does not rush, it simply exists, deeply rooted in the harsh red earth. The island goes to sleep under a blanket of absolute silence and a brilliant canopy of stars. Tomorrow, the sun will rise, the heat will return, and the fight for survival will begin again. But for now, in this brief, quiet moment, Socotra remains exactly what it has always been: the most alien, the most isolated, and the most fiercely beautiful place on Earth.